isolated himself when he was so actively supporting Doge and Trump out there dancing on the stage. And I think he was influential helping Trump get elected well. I think it's unfortunate that the bromance came to a crash real quick, but I don't know that having a third party is going to benefit the conservative / Republican movement, because all he's going to do is pull people who are pro Second Amendment. And there's a lot of when you read what his party is going to be about. I saw that he reached out to, correct me if I misspeak his name, Yang or Wang.
Andrew Yang?
Andrew Yang, the former Democrat who ran for president, then later ran for the mayor of New York as independent. So I think that just shows that a third party is going to be a hard move to push. So I just, it's going to be a division, not an addition to America.
So you're kind of saying like it's going to take votes away from the Republican Party and really maybe not so much from the Democrat Party.
Is this what the Libertarian and independent parties do? They always ruin everything by taking the votes from the other parties, adding further division?
I think that's exactly what it's going to do, JB. It's going to be similar to when Ross Perot ran.
Exactly, with Clinton.
He had a very big support behind him, and he's ultimately the reason that Bush lost to Clinton in the first election that Bill Clinton ran.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, we all lost.
We know where you are, my man. We know where you are. That's one of the reasons I love you, Jay. But so with midterms coming so quickly and the Senate and the House so divided, I don't know how he can generate enough. I know money buys a lot of things. So when you generate the support behind certain candidates, I don't know what candidates he's going to gravitate to and be able to boost to national prominence to be able to compete with the people running.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw it, my first thought was like, well, regardless of how popular Elon Musk is or whoever he puts as kind of like the front runner of this party, it's going to be a long time before we actually see any traction from it. I mean, it's not going to be overnight. And yeah, like you said, with midterms coming up, it feels like you could never catch a break. The election was, what feels like only a few months ago, and now we're going to start seeing all the midterm guys popping up with their campaigns and stuff. It's like every 2 years, but it feels like it's nonstop with the whole campaigning and everything.
With Trump and Elon Musk, I honest to God believe they're still friends behind closed doors, but what you see is with Doge, now no one's talking about Doge anymore, they control the news by whatever they put out on Truth or X. I don't think the American Party will actually come to fruition. It's just more distraction for everybody else.
So the news media is going to amplify the Musk party. And then with Elon Musk and Trump, I don't even know how Truth Social does. JB, what kind of support as far as comparison from X to Truth Social? What's the demographics on users?
Well, I mean, Truth Social is the same thing as with that. It's like blue sky for Democrats, right? It's like Truth Social is purely conservative, but anyone can join it, and mainly that's where Trump posts before he posts on X.
But what I'm asking, how many followers are on or users who use Truth Social compared to X? I know Truth Social is probably a lot more prominent in the United States, where X is worldwide.
Yeah. We'll find that out right now. Because, I mean, obviously, I imagine it to be X is going to have probably like
10 to 1, probably.
I mean, I was going to say 100 to 1. But, yeah, I mean, so let's see what Grok says, ironically. You think Grok's going to tell us the truth?
Nope. Which one does Elon run?
Grok.
Yeah.
So he's the one who has the ability to take over. Because, see, everybody gets so familiar with Elon and Tesla. But I think we've talked about it several times. that Tesla is so much more, and Elon Musk is so much more with Starlink, SpaceX,
Yeah.
all of his robots that he's creating. And he's he's a dreamer. He wants to conquer Mars.
Yeah, and I mean, realistically, when it comes to X, it was Twitter. He bought it, and he put people in charge of running it. I mean, obviously, he's a fan of using it for sure. But yeah, like you said, I mean, his main focus is definitely going to be more of the SpaceX and the technology aspect of helping advance civilization, I guess you could say. And of course, X is more of just a business opportunity that he was able to get into and use for publicity, positive and negative, to kind of boost, obviously, his standings in the world.
Well, one of the things people who invest in Tesla, who believe in that, I think they're at a critical path right now with new big beautiful bill / the act that got passed, where there's going to be a lot of reversal of energy in electric car incentives that are going to deteriorate that marketplace. So when the electric cars aren't selling, because I've read and I've seen in foreign countries that Tesla car sales have dropped 70 to 75%. So that's a big number when you start looking at the vehicles. And when the vehicles aren't selling, stock price is going to go down. But what is he going to do? Because just anytime he speaks and he and Trump argue, it seems that the Tesla stock fluctuates based off of it.
No, yeah, for sure. I think that for a long time now, Tesla stock has been at the expense of a lot of controversy, being, Elon Musk and where his standings are politically. So that way, it's like if Trump says something that has anything remotely to do with energy, that would affect Tesla. If Elon Musk says anything really at all, that's going to affect Tesla stock. So him being in the political limelight is definitely going to make it more volatile for Tesla stock. Which I think overall, long term, obviously that's been great for investors, and the amount of times that it's split and shot up and it's gone down, people buy more and then it shoots back up again. So, I don't think that I think Elon Musk is actually loving it realistically. His position to be able to essentially create money out of thin air is the way I view it.
And personally, with like the cheapest Tesla bare bones car, like 30 grand, the Model S starting at 80, Model X starting at 88, like saving $5,000 off an incentive means nothing. I really don't think the incentives matter. State by state basis, they could do it. California's done it for years, but I don't think people really care.
So who did that incentive help? Was it the individual or was it the dealership / Tesla?
The individual. So like when I bought my Model S like 7, 8 years ago, I got like 10 grand back or something like that. I don't know.
So it's no different than like right now when Ford is offering employee pricing or something to that extent.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. It's a similar situation, I guess.
Well, I just think with the administration you have now that has the mindset of drill, baby, drill, and let's get more oil, gas, natural gas, et cetera, down the pipeline, I think that the electric vehicle is going to have a hard way to go next little bit.
Yeah, what we've seen with that is basically like, obviously the previous administration and its allies were pushing for all electric vehicles by, let's say, like 2030. And, that's great for Elon Musk and it's great for electric car companies. And then this administration is like, we're not going to impose that on the American people. Obviously, you can still buy the cars, but we're going to allow you to continue to buy gas cars because, that's what our country is founded on, pure diesel and gas cars and guns. So basically, Elon Musk did have a little bit of pushback with the big, beautiful bill because, there were certain things in there that may have limited his potential ability to make money. So yeah, at the end of the day, Elon Musk is in a position where he has to be able to either sacrifice a little bit of his business for like the greater good of the country, or he has to turn around and say, well, listen, I care more about the profits than actually what's better for, the average American person or the United States of America overall.
Well, see, Elon Musk was very adamant. I guess he's in Austin, Texas, which is where Joe Rogan is. He spent a lot of time doing those shows, and they developed a friendship and a bromance. So it's just going to be interesting to see who helps him move that side of the fence forward.
Yeah.
If anybody comes out and says, I want to be a part of this America First party, I want to be someone who runs against the Republican, I want to be someone who runs against a Democrat.
Yeah, but once again, this is just a distraction, right? Just like when you go to the polls, it's very rare. Like, you have much support on the Libertarian side, Green Party, those other lunatics. It doesn't make any sense. It'll still be a two-party system, Democrat versus Republican, unless their support gets to 50, 60 million people. Just like when Ross Perot ran against, Bill Clinton and George H.W. Bush.
I'm curious to see, like, if this actually comes to life, how it's going to stand against, like, honestly, my goal for it is just, like, how is it going to do against the Libertarian Party? Because the Libertarian Party generally is, like, 5% of the votes every election, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if it crosses that boundary.
But if it crosses that boundary, who's it taking votes away from?
Right. I mean, realistically, I think it would take more votes away from Republicans than it would Democrats. Absolutely.
And I think I think one of the reasons that is the case, JB and Gonzalez, is there's so much hatred for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody he does or says, they want to just crash that wave, blow up that balloon.
Yeah, which is disappointing, though, because obviously Trump won't be running next year. Who knows who's going to be the front runner? But, I mean, yeah, the whole idea is, like, now that it's, quote-unquote, Trump's party, and he's made the Republican Party, quote-unquote, worse, let's just do everything we can to undo what Trump does, undo what the Republican Party has done. And at the end of the day, it's like people on the right are more open-minded too. So you're gonna have people on the right be like, well, let me, try the American Party, so-and-so front runner, I like what he stands for, I'm tired of the Republican establishment. But then you have people on the left that are so set in their ways, i.e. brainwashed, that they're not going to support the American Party no matter who it is, and they'll continue to vote Democrat. So yeah, that's the issue we run into.
Well, see, the Democrat Party is on the verge of having the same thing, because when you look at the lunacy in that party, you have a Joe Manchin from West Virginia, who is a Bill Clinton Democrat, who actually makes sense with some of the things he does and says. And then you go to the extreme of the candidate who's running for mayor in the Democratic Party in New York. That's two different parties right there.
Yeah.
That are running under one umbrella. So it'll come down to money, motivation, and if there's any critical thing happening in the world at that time of the midterms that people can gravitate to. Because you've got the 200th anniversary before midterms.
Mm-hmm.
Is the World Cup before the midterms, or?
So yeah, it would be before the actual election. It's in the summer usually.
So the World Cup is happening before the midterm elections, correct?
Yeah, correct.
And the 200th birthday. It's crazy that we're talking about something a year and a half from now.
I know, but that's like the pace that things move at nowadays. I feel like back then, like I said, elections happen every 2 years. I feel like back then it felt like you had more of a break in between. But now it's like everything is just so... There's so much controversy and there's so much being talked about all the time. And it's so polarizing where all you think about is like, all right, next election. Like, who are we getting in next time? What are we going to do this time? This administration already sucks and we're already 6 months in. Like, so people are constantly talking about it all the time, and everyone's just looking forward to, like, who's the next dumbass we're going to put into office.
I think it's a good thing that we're looking forward and also backward at history as we continue this show, because we're always just putting someone in, kind of ignoring the midterms and moving forward. We're not really creating a trajectory of looking forward based on what we've seen. We loved the first 4 years of Trump. We hated the Biden era nonsense, and but
it's amazing how all of that has just literally gone away. And I'm kind of
we're still hurting by it.
Disappointed in the fact that no one's been held accountable for what that administration actually did to this country.
Well, speaking of disappearing, actually, go ahead and finish your point.
Well, I was going to I completely agree with you, but when you say hold accountable, I absolutely agree. But, if he started arresting people like Hillary Clinton back in 2016, he will look like a dictator in such a way. The people have to be on board. Most people don't seem to understand how the world works, even to this day. People are glued to, multimedia, including social media, TikTok, and getting all the wrong news, misinformation versus disinformation. They don't know how to separate it and really kind of think for themselves. Everyone repeats what they hear and not what's actually being done, right? So I think that, if we just go after everybody, I just don't think we can really do that right now. So I think we really have to, educate people over time through a slow drip process.
So in saying that, we'll transition into Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
So how did Jeffrey Epstein have a list that's been talked about for numerous years
that we all saw,
that we've all seen, and now it's going away?
It's crazy.
Doesn't
it?
exist.
It's so crazy. And really, we have to talk about this administration. One of the biggest things they were talking about was, we're going to get in here, JFK files are coming out, the Martin Luther King files, and then of course the Epstein files. And then there was a little hiccup, and it's like, well, it's going to take a little longer. It's like, okay. And then you have that soft launch from Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, basically saying, like, well, he actually did kill himself.
But see, Dan Bongino and Kash Patel were pushing the Epstein files, but did Trump ever actually say he was going to do it? Because Trump ran on the JFK files, RFK files, MLK files,
Yeah, but besides the point,
why isn't there any more coverage of if those were truly released, the factual data that showed whatever the circumstances were around it?
Well,
is it so meaningless that it doesn't matter?
That's one of the arguments. Yeah, one of the conversations I had just yesterday was, someone was like, "Wait a minute, so there's no Epstein list?" I said, "That's what they're saying," and this person says, "Okay, so why is Ghislaine Maxwell in jail then?" Well, and my response was, "Well, yeah, she's trafficking, kids," and it's like, for who? Well, I don't know.
Well, for one, no with someone as big as Ghislaine Maxwell, it was never recorded, right? Only pictures, which is very sketchy as it is. And someone who's connected, like her father, and to Mossad, as well as Jeffrey Epstein, do you think she's really in jail? Just like Jeffrey Epstein, do you actually think he's actually killed in jail? I don't believe that. But it goes two ways. So, it's either disinformation or misinformation. So they actually have the logs, manifest, stuff like that? Absolutely. Can they release them right now? Probably not, because it would connect all the central intelligence agencies across the world. So you're going to bring down everyone all at one time and cause chaos. We still have people who don't actually believe it.
Believe Epstein, or believe that Musk tells everyone that Trump's on Epstein's list?
Well, both.
Because Musk is pretty adamant that there's a list and that there's prominent people on that list. And I would hate to know an administration that ran on openness, honesty, all of a sudden, Pam Bondi and everybody said, nope, there's no list.
My greatest fear, which is probably reality, is that Trump worked so hard to have this new administration that is, 10 times better than the other one, trying to eliminate corruption in the deep state, just to turn around and, realize that all these people got compromised too. You look at almost his entire administration, it feels like a 180 happened in the last 6 months at some point.
I think like we were talking about, Gonzo, it's disappointing because he has such a strong cabinet, and I didn't get an opportunity to see much of the cabinet meeting today or hear what was going on. I was pretty enthralled with a lot of work today that were kind of overwhelmed. But so it'd be interesting to see how the cabinet meeting went today and actually what they talked about.
Yeah.
Whether I did hear that a reporter did bring up the Epstein area to Attorney General Bondi, and Trump did just immediately, instantaneously jump all over the reporter.
Yeah, and I was going to say that too. It was a little weird because, I mean, he has to know that a majority of his base, the people that elected him, want this stuff to come out because they want, obviously, anything to do with taking down the deep state or just exposing the deep state at the very least. And for him to kind of say, wait, we're still talking about Epstein? Like, you know, we have all this, and I agree with what he says, we have all this other stuff going on we need to talk about, sure. But it almost seemed like he got too offended or too defensive with him bringing up Epstein when he really should have been, you know, at least in some way reassuring that they're still looking into it.
It goes back to his personality being such a narcissist, hedonistic individual to where I think what you said is very, very good example of where he could have deflected that in a completely different way.
Yeah.
It's important, and we are looking at all of this. No different than when Comer did what he did on the beach in Maryland, New Jersey, where it was.
Comey found those shells and then accidentally posted it not knowing what it meant.
Right. So I think it hurts his credibility when it's like the old adage. You say one thing and do another.
Mm-hmm.
What does that say about yourself?
Yeah. I mean, and then you have, it's like, so I saw Alex Jones talk about this today, and my initial thought, I'll tell you after, but he basically came out and said, what I see happening is he does this whole thing where he says, I know what's going on. Basically, instead of coming out and just arresting everybody, Trump is now using this information, the Epstein list and everything, to blackmail the deep state to allow them, or to basically make them allow him to do his agenda and to not get in the way. And my initial thought is like, okay, we can't keep making excuses for Trump, regardless of how much we like him, regardless of how much, you know, how pro-Trump you are. At some point, we do have to be open to the idea that maybe the plan has changed.
Well, see, that's the difference. I'm pro-American, and I definitely thought that Trump was 100 times better than the alternative we had for America.
Which I still think is.
Yes, I agree. I completely agree. So, saying that, Trump has to stand up for credibility, and I think that if anyone, Elon Musk has turned on him. I think if Joe Rogan turns on him, I think that the whole narrative could easily change, because Joe Rogan was attacked, ironically, by Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So the Hulk is out attacking Joe Rogan for how he feels that he created this immigration situation. And I think all of us were kind of misled about the situation, that it was going to be criminal, going to be this, going to be this. And I don't think anyone truly supports breaking up families, going to construction sites, taking people off their jobs, going to churches, pulling those people out of churches, going to elementary school, pulling. There has to be a delicate way. We talk about it a lot, but there has to be a way that we recreate Ellis Island to give everybody the opportunity. And if you're a convict and you're a criminal, yes, you should be, no doubt about it. But as just far as arresting brown people, I have a problem with it. So, but profiling is profiling.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you don't get profiled more, Gonzo.
Honestly, for me, it depends on the length of my beard. I get profiled as a Islamist extremist sometimes.
Yeah, I get asked if I'm Jewish or like Middle Eastern. It just depends on the beard and the tan on the day. But I don't care.
I don't get profiled at all.
Well, they just
I'm
don't
just
say
a
it.
white, American, redneck, keep going, black guy, white guy.
So white privilege is a thing.
Something like that. It is.
I need to get one of those white privilege cards just to be like, yo, it's okay. I'm safe.
Speaking of privilege, white privilege, since 9/11, if anyone has flown, they have gone through an airport to where they have had to take their shoes off to go through. Well, that is coming to an end.
Whew.
So you will be able to walk right through there, go through the metal detector, as long as you don't have metal in your shoes
Yeah.
or something to that effect.
Steel toe boots.
There'll be an excuse or there'll be an aggressive TSA agent. They got to come off. Take them off.
Honestly, that was probably the most annoying thing about going through TSA. Granted, I had pre-check, so I didn't do that. But beforehand, it was like, man, taking off your shoes. Honestly, it felt like the most inconvenient part of that process.
It literally got to the point where I would wear flip-flops to the airport.
I don't blame you.
And you still have to
go
take them
through
off.
TSA. And if I was going to a meeting, I had a pair of boots in my bag that I would pull out and put on my boots before I got on the plane and got off the plane, etc. Because it's such a pain in the ass. They don't have chairs for you to sit down. And
Yeah.
when you're an old man like me, man, you got to have help.
I mean, honestly, even boots is not as bad as like, having actual like dress shoes or something like that, or like, anything with laces really. So sandals, obviously super easy. I would say boots are like the second easiest just because they're still slip on and off.
The worst of the worst when they pull you out of the line and they have to like take all your shit out.
Oh yeah. Like
I have TSA pre-check and clear, and this happened to me more than once.
I actually have a story you might find funny.
Yeah, they took his clothes off.
Actually, it wasn't that bad. It could have been worse though. I was going through TSA early in the morning, put my bag in, and I go through, and I look at the computer when they have the scan of your bag, and I see my bag, and she's like zooming in, like looking at something, and I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, I instantly go, oh man, like I know exactly what that is, and I could see clear as day a 5.56 round in my bag. And she turns around and goes, like, before she even says, whose bag is this? I raise my hand. I'm like, that's mine. So she, shows me what it is. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I used that bag at the range. I should have cleaned it better. My bad. She was like, oh, well, what range do you go to? I'm like, oh, this one, like, out in Ocala. She's like, oh, me and my husband go here. Super cool about it. So, I got lucky with that. Obviously, if it's a weapon, it's a totally different story. But like one round in there, it's like, okay, it was an honest mistake. Keep it moving.
Well, the last time I flew, I had driven back. You guys remember I had driven back, so I actually had a pistol in my suitcase. And I very rarely do a lot of moving out of the suitcase. I get my DOP kit out and I leave stuff in there. So the next time I flew, my bag got pulled out. Crocker, you got that pistol, right? I was thinking psychology in my head that I had left that gun in that bag, and I was like, this is fixing to turn into a shit show.
Yeah.
But fortunately for me, it was something else, but it was actually a larger bottle of shampoo than they would let me take.
Oh my God. You're a criminal.
Yep, it was 5 ounces instead of 3.3 ounces. So
You should have known better. You should have known better.
Exactly.
Yeah, you had
So TSA, I think everybody's gotten to where everybody feels pretty comfortable flying in the actual airlines.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that's gone by the wayside recently. No one's talked about airplane delays. No one's talked about the news cycle has the ability to manipulate what everybody's thinking
Yes.
and feeling. and what they want them to react on.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. No plane crashes, no accidents, no incidents, no delays, no power outages or communication outages. It's like, that was last month's story or 2 months ago.
Well, see, Iran actually attacked the base in Qatar again 3 or 4 days ago, and no one even talked about it.
Right. So we're already done with that story too. However, they did cover today how I guess they're moving forward to approve more strikes on Iran, Israel meaning.
Iran is moving forward to.
No. Israel is moving forward to strike Iran again.
Unilaterally after because Netanyahu was just here yesterday, right?
Well, that's when it came up.
Okay, so this peace, the 12-day war peace that Trump was pounding his chest on, now it's going by the wayside.
That's what they're saying.
So I don't know. It's just I don't know who wins out of that.
Northrop Grumman, or what is it?
Boeing.
Sorry, Lockheed Martin.
Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, they definitely
Lockheed Martin, Garmin.
certain investors, if they've invested in these companies, politicians.
Yeah. I think politicians for sure.
Coincidentally, too, they were just talking about as well pushing these contracts to move forward faster, like these military contracts and stuff, and budgeting for military contracts. They're wanting to push them faster. So it's like the timing of this conversation is really weird.
That's interesting because I was reading this morning early that the new aircraft, the two of them have been pushed back by 2 years each. So they're getting ready to retire the Nimitz, and the next one coming online was scheduled to come on in 2025, but it's been pushed back to 2027, and then the next one after that is back to like the 2030. But I can imagine the actual structure of itself would be consistently the same, but with technology through all of the other things, I bet that's a moving thing that's crazy. Through the wiring, the watering, all of those things, from where it was the Nimitz first was launched to where we are today, being a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did see too, speaking of aircrafts, there's now also talking about making B-2 bombers for the great state of Israel.
They actually, for what reason? Just so they can fly over there and drop a bomb?
I mean, I'd imagine that is what they're doing with bombers, so...
Well, I just think when you have something, you can't give all your secrets away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with somehow Israel came up with a nuclear bomb. I'm not sure how they actually did, but less is more until more is needed, and when more is needed, we use our bombers and call it good.
Yeah, I mean, usually the way it works is they'll give, like Israel, for example, 99% scale of what we have. So, like, it'd be like the B-2 bomber M or something, or I. B-2 bomber I, which is like almost exactly a carbon copy of what we have. Granted, too, the B-2 bomber is probably 20, 30 years old, maybe. So, but still, my whole thing is like, why do we have to keep supporting
Yeah.
and basically we are funding all the wars. We're funding all the weapons that are used in these wars, and we continue to do so. I'm just not really all for it, honestly.
Well, I read that Trump's going to give more weapons to Ukraine.
Right.
And his whole plan was, when he came in, he was ending the war with Ukraine. And that's gone by the wayside.
Yeah, it seems like what it seems like is a lot of these things that we've been talking about during the election time and even beginning of the administration, plans have changed, it seems like.
I just think we've gone away from promise go.
Maybe.
I think
We're only 4 months
maybe-
in, right? 5 months in.
Yeah. No worry, I still got you there. What the internet out there must not be perfect. Yeah, you're back. Don't worry.
So, I just promises made, promises kept. Get back to that
Yeah.
and go from there.
There was something.
Anybody commenting on anything tonight, or are we just on three by ourselves tonight?
No, we got a little conversation here. Someone back to the America Party. They were just saying I don't think it's going to work out, at least not in our lifetime.
Nah.
But what I was going to bring up quick too is something that we may have never seen coming is the White House hosting a UFC match in 2026.
I heard that. I saw that.
It's about time.
That'll be interesting. And they immediately had Conor McGregor volunteered. He wanted to fight in it. But I don't know how they'll set up the ring, the stage for that. But a lot of people are saying that Trump is dishonoring the White House doing that.
Yeah, I mean,
They're gonna say anything.
I mean, I could see that though. Like, having it at the White House does seem a little like dystopian, maybe, if that's the right word. It is a little weird.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the kid who has a little bit more money in the neighborhood who wants to have the water park come to his house. And he has all the blow-up air balloon and all of that out there.
Hey,
That's kind of what I thought of when I heard Trump saying this is what he wanted to do.
as long as we're invited, I'm happy.
But he's the president of the United States. But I think if he does it, it needs to be on one of the networks to where it's free for every American or free for everybody in the world. Not a pay-per-view.
Yeah. I think what we should do is have it at.
And that way,
Sorry, real quick. I think what we should do is have it at Capitol Hill and have the congressmen and senators fight instead.
that would be good.
Yeah, that'd be a much
But
better
is it a
situation.
good idea? I don't know. Yeah. But I think it'll be entertaining. I think that with Dana White, etc., being friends with Donald Trump, I think it would be a good deal.
We'll see how it turns out. Now the question is that before or after the World Cup? I don't know. We don't know yet.
Hopefully during the World Cup, create another argument.
So Donald Trump's got several things going on: World Cup, Olympics.
Yeah.
Midterms. So we'll just see how it all goes, because if the country is thriving, Donald Trump will be successful.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's what I think most of his success came from. Obviously, like, the economy was really great in his first term. And even people today, they say, like, you know, what are they, or before he got reelected, it's like, what do you miss about Trump? They would always say something to do with, like, prices, the economy, stuff like that. That's usually the biggest driving factor of what defines your success, is if the people are happy with the economy, everyone's being, you know, paid well and they have jobs, gas is cheap, stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, to your point, if the economy's doing well, then he'll be remembered as a good president.
Speaking of success and paying bills, you better bring some Blackheart gear. And I hope you guys are partaking in the best
Finest whiskey in all of Colorado. Branch and Barrel, the flagship bourbon. Maybe I'll switch it up and get the weeded bourbon after this. But two great companies here made in America, Blackheart Gear and Branch and Barrel. If you haven't yet, you got to check both these companies out. They're great companies. Of course, the cigar guys are always here. We got the cigars, we got the whiskey, and we're rocking some cool hats at the same time. So why you aren't is beyond me.
No idea.
Summer's here. Get a hat. Finish your night with a good cigar, little bourbon, little whiskey, and enjoy life, because life moves by really fast. And if you let a day pass without taking advantage of everything it offers, that's on you. Like, I had several scenarios that happened to me today that everything doesn't always go the way you want it to or the way you expect it to. And there's a lot of disappointments that we have to deal with. But it's how you deal with that disappointment that will set you up for success tomorrow.
Yeah.
You can stay in place. You can keep your feet grounded in, or you can break out of it and say, you know what, I'm not going to, I got to do more and better. And sometimes you just have to do it. Accept what you can't change.
Absolutely.
So that was my soapbox for today, guys.
Real fast, I just want to verify that X does have like 611 million active daily users, while Truth only had like 6. So Gonzo is right.
I'm always right.
1,000 to 1,
100 to 1, right?
100 to 1.
Yeah, 100 to 1.
600 million.
To 6 million.
I would think that number seems low for X with as many people that are in the world.
Yeah, but you also have like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Everyone gets it from somewhere else, mainstream media. The fallout from buying out Twitter, converting it to X.
Yeah, what I have seen too is that more people have kind of become loyal to just one. Like, there's just so much overstimulation with all this different social media platforms. People find themselves being either loyal to X or loyal to TikTok or Instagram. Like, I was talking to a few people the other day, and they all said the same thing. Like, well, I just use Instagram nowadays, or I just use X. You know, maybe I'll go on TikTok or whatever. But I think we're seeing a lot of people kind of just pick one or the other for their spare time.
Do you think that's based off of age group? If you Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok, and put those in a circle in 25% apiece, do you think they're based on age groups, or do you think it's based on just what they prefer to get their information from?
I think it's both. I think a lot of older folks generally use Facebook because it's been around the longest. Twitter and X, similar time frame, but it's not as many features as Facebook has. Instagram's definitely for a newer crowd, but also more personalized towards you as a personal profile or personal business. What do you think?
No, yeah, I was going to say, like, as far as age demographics go, Facebook is generally going to be average, like the oldest. Then I would say X, then Instagram, and then TikTok is generally more younger people. I mean, generally speaking, obviously we have different age groups on all the platforms, but yeah, TikTok's definitely for the youngest. Instagram is kind of like in the middle. X is kind of in the middle, but more older. And then Facebook is generally more active users are going to be from the older generations.
Well, I know that several new companies are coming out to where they're trying to compete with X, Instagram, but they want to offer more features, such as crypto, paying your bills, similar to companies that are capable of doing all those, but you actually get a multitude. You get a Swiss Army knife from one place.
Yeah. Another big thing too that some of these newer social media platforms are pushing is like the paying creators, because that's been a big thing. Is like a lot of creators feel like they haven't been able
Compensated.
to, yeah, being fairly compensated, which has been a thing since like Vine and stuff like that. But there's like a company called I think it's called Own, and the whole idea of it is basically like no matter how many followers you have, as long as you make good content and get views, they'll pay you for that content, obviously via advertisements and stuff like that. So that's another issue that the newer platforms are pushing. Because I mean, like you said with crypto, X is trying to incorporate crypto more, but that's really not something we've seen from anyone else.
And one of the things we got out of that group was YouTube.
That is true.
So when you look at the mainstream media and look at the viewers that they have on a daily basis, JB said 600 million people are on X. How many people are actively looking at things on a daily basis compared to a news broadcast at 6 o'clock in the morning?
It's a good question. I think that I think generally people are going more towards like X, for example, than tuning into news nowadays. Mainstream media, meaning.
Yeah, what's nice about X, sorry to interrupt, is that you get an article to help verify or some kind of information to help verify, where mainstream media is just a few adults yelling on TV and then trying to get you to lean towards a certain side, which is usually left.
For sure. And I like the ability. I asked AI a question today because I honestly, personally don't believe we ever went to the damn moon. But when you ask Grok, it says we did, and it tells you all of the history about it. But maybe I'm just naive and I just don't see how it was possible. And all of a sudden, all the information vanished and we haven't been back and we can't do anything with the technology that we have today. When you listen to the communications of the astronaut with the Houston, it's literally like they're talking on the phone. There is no delay. So I don't know. I just have a lot of reservations about it.
Well, too, like with AI, Grok, for example, generally it's going to take from the information that is most common, most popular. So if that's the theory that's most popular, meaning that we did go to the moon, it's going to derive from that information. And then you have to essentially kind of ask it in such a way where it's like, okay, well, if I was to believe this, find information that supports this theory. So then it can find that information, but it is going to generally lean towards more like what is the popular opinion or what the common opinion is. And obviously, too, you can go into certain parameters that they have installed in there to make sure it's telling you certain things or avoiding certain subjects as well.
Speaking of subjects, are there any new updates on Alligator Alcatraz? Is that up and running or did it flood?
No, I mean, so no flooding. I did see that. I think they're planning to move the first people into there, I think this week, if I'm not mistaken. And then a few other states have already signed and agreed on their plan to incorporate their own version of Alligator Alcatraz.
Well, I know that I'm on one side of the fence about this. I think that hardened criminals who get convicted and who are here illegally, that's where they should go, and they get deported and are done with it. But I just don't think that, like there was a big raid in Pennsylvania right before the 4th of July on a construction site. So when you start going in Charleston, South Carolina, at the airport there, that they're building a new facility. It's just, when you take all the workers away, who's going to do the work?
Yeah, they're definitely going hard on those raids now.
So that's my question. When you take them all away, who's going to do the work? Who's going to pay for their wives and kids that are here who are legal?
Well, I still think that those jobs will be filled, and it's going to be an inconvenience to some people. Whether you're the one who's hiring them or what is obviously going to slow things down. But like we talked about before, I don't think that it is as big of a percentage of the workers as we think it is.
We'll go for a ride when I get back. We'll go to every construction site in the greater Orlando area, and we will count minorities.
We
We
can
will
start.
count Hispanics. We will count white people. We will count African Americans. And I'm sure that there will be one that's higher than the other.
Well, I agree with that, but it's the fact that are they undocumented or not? That's the thing that
Yeah.
we can't really determine just by looking
No,
at
no,
them.
no. We're going to go ask them.
Oh, okay.
Why? Then
We're going to have a field
you're
trip.
gonna scare them.
We're going to go have a field trip. You know how they can filter? We'll filter their face, Gonzo.
Yeah. Well, my question is, how are all three of us going to fit in the Corvette?
We'll take a truck.
All right, we'll do that. Then we can blend in better too.
Surprise!
There you go.
It's not a white van. It's okay.
What's that, JB?
No, that was Alex.
I got you. Well, guys, as you can see, it's getting dark where I'm at,
Yeah.
and we'll start winding it down. We got anybody that got any more comment or anything we need to reply to?
Not necessarily that we need to reply to. Someone called you a flat earther, but we're
Not sure what that means.
What?
well, coincidentally, he dropped. So I guess we are going to just go ahead and wind it down. Obviously, Crocker's out somewhere. Wi-Fi is a little tricky today, and it's getting dark out there. So I guess if you want, we can walk the plank by ourselves.
Well, for the first time ever. I'm just kidding.
What's that?
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
We were you cut out, so we're just gonna walk the plank.
All right, well, let's walk the plank, JB.
All right, just been working all day trying to get this release out for work. Just busy with work, gym. Basically, just I want people to focus on work, dependability, accountability. Where we will get this release out. I just want to walk the plank on people's stress and focus on work. It will get done.
And personally,
Gonzo, what you got?
yeah, I would say, not for me personally, but I think people in general, just to stop like chasing answers and conclusions, especially when we're talking about the mainstream media and all these developments coming out.
Knee-jerk reactions.
Yeah, people are so caught up in the current and what's going on, and a lot of the times it's, like Jared said, either misinformation or disinformation. People need to take a step back and just focus on what truly matters in their lives, whether it's work or family, improving yourself. So I think just taking a step back from quote unquote like what's not real or what is really not that important, and just focusing on becoming a better version of yourself.
Well, I want all restaurants that are not the caliber of the Vineyard to walk the plank, because for a price point in the greater Orlando area, the Vineyard, it beats the quality of food, the quality service, the mixologist, the great place to go visit. So when you're in the greater Orlando area, you're to go.
Absolutely.
And plus, I want cheap internet. Plus, I want cheap internet, Wi-Fi to walk the plank as well.
Absolutely. As you can see, perfect example right here. No, but honestly, at the caliber which the Vineyard is operating at, there's no excuses for anyone else. Top tier service, top tier food. That place runs like a very well-oiled machine. No,
Yeah.
you can't beat it. So we're going to go ahead and Crocker, we're going to cut it out here. I appreciate everyone that tuned in. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you haven't yet, follow us on social media. We're posting on YouTube Shorts and Instagram quite a lot. So recaps and just news as it comes. So stay tuned for more, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Have a good week, guys.